Meanwhile, we're told as well that Donald Trump is doubling down on that Taiwan call that has a lot of people wondering whether our one China policy or the world's interpretation of a one China policy still exists. Right now, the White House responding to this by trying to say it's still in place. Take a look.
I can confirm that U.S. officials, including senior officials of the National Security Council, have been in touch with their Chinese counterparts to reiterate our country's continued commitment to a one China policy.
I wonder if they ran that by Donald Trump. The former Navy SEAL Carl Higbie and China Learning Curve founder Dan Joseph on what this means. You know, it's interesting, gentlemen, and Carl, I guess I'll begin with you. I caught a number of stories and reactions to this, including the whole world, you know, getting out of joint on this. But I didn't realize that this was merely a case, this one China policy, the U.S. accepting China and Taiwan in agreement to this policy, not that we necessarily endorse that policy. Is that true?
Well, I think what it is here is, I mean, I feel like we're on the playground in the 6th grade or something. I mean, it's like Billy can't talk to John because then Jenny will get mad. So the fact is he took the call for somebody saying congratulations. We're not endorsing them as a country. We do sell them billions of dollars of military equipment, but this is a faction of China that's broken away and essentially been trying to run as a sovereign nation. But keep in mind the military ramifications here is that China has committed to use less than peaceful means if Taiwan continues to try to push away.
Dan, what do you make of this?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Both Taiwan and China have agreed ever since Taiwan received 2 million KMT members when Chiang Kai-shek lost the Civil War way back in 1949, that there was actually only one China. In fact, for many years, the government in Taiwan operated under that fiction itself. So as long as neither side makes some sort of unilateral move to override that, then our policy is we will continue to support this one China approach that both sides so far have taken. However, there is pressure on the Taiwanese side to kind of move more towards independence, and for Donald Trump to say something or do something which is out of line with prior protocol suggests to some people that maybe the United States is going to change its policy. I'm not sure that was his intention. He might just be signaling we're going to take a stronger stance against China. In general, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Well, we were learning now, I guess, Carl, that this wasn't just a big accident or he stumbled into something he had no idea would happen. He knew and his aides had orchestrated, we're told, or wanted to get this call. The Taiwanese leader did, in fact, call. They knew, in fact, the repercussions of accepting that call and talking to her, and they didn't care.
Yeah, open the lines of communication. It can't hurt. This doesn't legitimize them as a sovereign nation or anything. This is the fact that Donald Trump ran a campaign of pushing against China and trying to make
So is this sending a signal, Carl?
I think so. I think he's going to say, hey, look, we're going to be a little bit tougher. I mean, look, Taiwan, as we were talking about, Taiwan originally was the capital until the UN moved to mainland China. So, I mean, this is a chance for Donald Trump to kind of flex up a little bit and say, you know what, China, you know, we're not going to do things the old way anymore. New sheriff's in town. You
know, one of the things that's interesting, Dan, is everyone's making a big deal about the fact that Donald Trump is acting provocatively when, in fact, he tweeted out, others have readily agreed, China's been acting pretty provocatively in the South China Sea, making military installations on islands that it doesn't really own, to say nothing of how it's fixed its currency and manipulated trade between our countries. So they are hardly ones to lecture anyone on provocative remarks, it would seem.
Yeah. And I mean, Taiwan has 300,000 person
Dan, what do you make of that they are overstepping it?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, if Donald Trump were to signal, we are going to reverse our position on the whole one China issue, that would be a big deal. That's not what he's done. A little bit stronger rhetoric. For us to take actions that are maybe out of line with past norms, I don't think that signals that there's going to be some break-off in the relationship. There are many areas in which you could specifically state, for example, on the trade side, where we should be taking a bit of a harder line, and I think that's what Trump is doing. I like the phrase that Gary just used, there's a new sheriff in town. I think that's what he's signaling, and then we'll see what comes after that. But I don't think it reflects that we're going to have a dramatic change in our position on the one China policy.
All right, I think you're referring to Carl there, but Carl, do you worry about any of this? Or is that actually a good development that there is, to your point, a new sheriff in town, and he's playing by a different set of rules and reminding those who wish us ill or well this is the way it's going to be.
Well, I mean, he made a career and a campaign of breaking the status quo, and I think this is right on line with that. And keep in mind, Taiwan also has a 300,000-person standing army right now. So, you know, that's not huge, and it's definitely not anything against China, but it is a statement to be made that they have some sovereignty to themselves.
All right. Gentlemen, I want to thank you both. Carl and Dan, great seeing you.
Thank you.